Wardrobe for the Bass Tour Anglers podcast is provided by Koppel Outfitters. Go have an adventure. Visit them online at www.koppeloutfitters.com and on social media at Koppel Outfitters. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a couple of unboxings to do. First of all, our friends at Duckett Fishing has sent us a box of reels. We've got some content coming up in the next year that is going to require us to do some fishing, and we certainly need to have some reels to do that fishing. But we want to go through these reels and we want to take a look at the various speeds they come in, talk about how these different speeds apply to our fishing. Now, you know that rods are made for various techniques, and one of the things that we don't always think about is the reels. Well, reel speeds definitely matter in various techniques. So we're going to take a look at these reels and you see how the various speeds pertain to the kind of fishing that we'll be doing. Our second unboxing, our friends from Soft Steel have sent us a box of line. Now, Soft Steel is a line company that's been popular in the ocean fishing industry, but they make premium braided line and they make premium fluorocarbons, and we'll take a look at what they've sent us today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Unboxing starts right now. A little bit about Duckett Fishing before we open this box. Duckett Fishing's motto, slogan, if you will, is called Pro Driven, and the thing that I really respect about this company is that they have probably, arguably, the most elite pro staff anywhere. And they use their pro staff to develop their lures and their reels and all the other products that Duckett sells. And because of that, when you look at products that Duckett produces, you know that they are pro-tested, pro-driven. But consider this pro staff. Jacob Wheeler, you've heard of Jacob Wheeler. Tim Horton, tremendous career. Kelly Jordan, Gary Klein, 30 Bassmaster Classic appearances. Jason Lambert, he is an absolute monster on a ledge anywhere you go. Dean Rojas, Dean is famous, of course, for his frogging techniques. Dean also owns the record for the four-day weight total of all time. And of course, Boyd Duckett, who is himself a Bassmaster Classic champion. But you think about this pro staff. If you combine their earnings, over $14 million in career tournament earnings, okay? 46 Pro Tour wins. 46 Pro Tour wins on this staff alone. 96 World Championship qualifications. We got Bassmaster Classics. We got Major League Fishing Cups. We've got FLW Cup qualifications, 96 World Championship qualifications. Total them up, 143 years of pro tournament experience. So this is a pro staff, and knowing that Duckett takes input from these guys into the products they make, it's a solid deal. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. All right, first of all, well, we've got some Duckett baits, Duckett Fishing stickers. To put those up somewhere. All right, so we've got the Paradigm spinning reel. First of all, Paradigm spinning reel series. They have two different ones. They've got an SW2500 and an SR2500. What is the difference? There's a little bit of difference in these reels, but for the most part they're very similar. Both come with 10 ball bearings. The SW2500, and this is This is the SW2500. This one comes with 7.5 kilograms of drag, so it's got a little more drag. It's a little bit heavier. It weighs 220 grams. Like that white color. It's a cool looking color for a reel. Very smooth reel. Okay, and I wanted to take a look at the Paradigm SR 2500. Here's another SW 2500. Let's take a look at the. Yeah, here's an SR 2500. SR 2500. This one happens to be in black. It's a nice black with a red anodized finish. That's very cool. It's a very cool red anodized crank arm. Yeah, very smooth. So the two reels, the two spinning reels, you know, to hold them in my hand, I really, the SR 2500 is just a tad lighter. It's about 4 grams lighter than the SW 2500. But still, I mean, they both are very comfortable feeling. Both hold the same amount of line. If you're going to put 6-pound test on there, it hold about 160 yards of 6-pound test, and I look forward to putting these to the test. I think that these will be really good in the finesse offerings, drop shotting, maybe working a Ned rig or a Nico rig. Should be very cool. All right. Next, we've got the Paradigm casting reels. This is a CWX. This is a 7.5 CWX. It's got 20 pounds of drag. Looking real. Fits right in your hand nicely. So also very smooth. It's a really, I like how low the profile is on this. It takes up to 150 yards of 12-pound test line. This particular one is the 7.5 to 1. I kind of put this in the moderate speed, upper moderate speed reel. It's quick. I mean, anything in that 7 gear ratio is fairly quick. But I would use this for throwing baits like spinner baits, buzz baits, bladed jigs. Maybe if I'm going to rip some lipless crankbaits out of grass. Certainly jerk baits. This would be a perfect reel for throwing jerk baits because as you twitch, you can quickly recover. You can quickly recover that. I don't know if you can see the shape of the handle. It's pretty cool. It just kind of, the shape of the handle just kind of like leads you into your next crank. It's really really a neat thing. Okay, we've got what else have we got here? We've got another Paradigm. This is another 7.5 to 1. Again, going to use that in those medium retrieve type baits, the spinner baits, the buzz baits, the bladed jigs, jerk baits. Fast enough, you could probably fish plastics like a Texas rig worm. You could probably fish Carolina rig with this. I personally prefer a little bit faster reel for that, but good all around reel. I think it would fit a lot of different applications. Okay, there's another Paradigm CW 200 bait caster. This one is in the 8-3 to 1. And I don't know if you've ever used an 8-3 to 1 reel, but this is a super fast reel. Anytime you get up into that 8-point range, 8 to 1, essentially it means that for every one turn of the handle, you're going to get 8 revolutions on your spool, and that is fast. Now, if you think about where an application like that would come in handy, I think of the deep water worming. When you're fishing out here, we fish plastic worms routinely in 35 to 40 feet of water. And you get that bite, and you want to get a quick turn on those fish and get them bring them up, turn their heads. This 8-to-3 ratio would be perfect for that. I also think that this would be the Carolina rig reel that I would want to use. Punching or flipping, you want to get that bait in and get it right back out so you can make your next cast. Plus, if a fish bites, you got to turn their head quick. That 8-3 to 1 gear ratio is going to be good for doing that. Throwing frogs with using a braided line, throwing frogs would be an excellent way, an excellent speed for that. Long distance topwater. Sometimes we get situations where the bass come up and start schooling on the surface, and you want to make those long casts. And if you do get a bite a long ways from the boat, you want to be able to crank to them fast and get their heads turned and get them moving towards the boat. Another thing that's kind of underrated about a reel that's this fast is that when you have fish that are schooling, if you're fishing out on this side of the boat and all of a sudden they come up over here, you can get that bait in quickly and get the next cast out. So you're now fishing for the fish that came up on this side of the boat. So that's I really look for. I've never fished with a reel that is this fast. I think this is going to be it's going to be a game changer for my fishing, especially on those deep fish, the deeper fish. All right, the next one we've got here. It's another 8-3. Then I've got this. This is the 320 RB bait caster. Now this one is a specialty reel. It's a 5-3 to 1 reel. This is definitely would fall within the category of being a low speed or slow reel. Again, that's a really super cool color. That black with that red anodized trim and the red spool. It's very cool. 5-3 to 1 gear ratio. Now, if 8 is super fast, then 5 is pretty moderately slow, and this is going to come in handy for cranking, especially deep cranking. Applications where I don't want to over crank a bait in. You think about if you're fishing a big build crankbait, you want it to work smoothly, and you don't want to have to fight it. Well, this is a gear ratio that is good for deep cranking. I have been looking for a good cranking reel for a long time. It feels like the industry has kind of got away from producing the slower speed reels. I mean, there's a few out there, but most of them are high profile. I like this low profile in the lower gear ratio. I think that's going to make a big difference. We want our baits to work the way they're supposed to work, the way they're designed to work. If you're trying to fish a deep diving crankbait with a six reel, 6 to 1 or 7 to 1, it's going to be a battle. You're going to wear yourself out, and but a 5-to-1 gear ratio on a deep crank, it's really, really good. You think about other type of techniques that you might fish where you've got a lot of drag on your lure. Some people throw the A-rig. This would be a good speed to throw an A-rig on. Yeah, it's going to be a good reel. I can hardly wait to stick this on a rod and get out there and start fishing some crankbaits. Should be really cool. All right, well, there you go. That's our unboxing of the Duckett reels. We will be including those in a lot of the content that we produce in the upcoming months. Stay tuned. All right, so our friends from Soft Steel have sent us some line, and let's see what they've got in here. Well, first of all, they know that I wear hats. I have to wear hats. Always appreciate a good lid to protect the dome. These are really cool. Really nice gray matted color cap. Like that bright, I guess you'd call it a kind of a fluorescent color green. It's good contrast with the black and soft steel. Anyway, hats always much appreciated. Got to protect the old dome. You know, one other thing that I learned sort of the hard way about a cap, and I know I'm going off script here, so to speak, but you need to fish with a hat. Besides covering your eyes from the sun, that hat is a deflector when and if your partner happens to make a wild cast. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been hit on the bill of a cap with a partner's cast. Certainly they weren't doing it on purpose, but man, I'd rather get that slap in the face and slap in the bill of the cap with a crankbait than having it come all the way through and getting those hooks in my face. So, you know, that cap, the bill of that cap is very underrated in terms of face protection. Anyway, thank you very much. Let's take a look at what's in the box. All right, so first of all, we've got a spool of braid here. This is 10-pound soft steel braid. The diameter is 0.17 millimeters, so it's a very, very thin braid. But as braid goes, it's super strong. Primarily, I will use this as backing, particularly on my spinning reels. But I'll use this as backing on my crankbaits, my crank rods, crank reels. Because its thin diameter is going to allow the line to get down a little bit deeper. As I said, it's a really good backing. I like using braid as backing on my reels because you know, when you do hook into a good fish, provided you got a good knot in your fluoro to braid, make sure you have that done. But it gives you a good backbone for fighting bigger fish, and I'm sure that this 10-pound test is something that I will use for backing on a lot of my reels. Next, we've got this is a 20-pound braid, soft steel 20-pound braid. This has got a 0.23 diameter, so it's still a really thin diameter. And if you compare these braided diameters with say mono diameters, you'll see a difference. 20-pound test braid diameter is much thinner than its counterparts in the monofilament type line. But this is 0.23 millimeter diameter, and you know, again, I will probably use this for backing on some of my heavier applications, but also would not be afraid to use this for backing on my jig rods. I like to fish jigs in heavy brush and you know, in deep cover, and this would be an excellent backing for that. In terms of tying it directly to lures, probably would use this directly to the lure on long topwater applications. So let's say I'm fishing for schooling bass in open water. Well, I don't want there to be a lot of stretch in my line. I would probably use, I would definitely use this 20-pound tied directly to the topwater bait for making long casts. There are some that might say, well, you don't have any stretch and so on. Yeah, I understand that. But in those situations where the fish are boiling around the boat way off and they have to make long casts, long topwater applications, You don't necessarily want any stretch, because by the time that fish reacts to the bait, you want to be able to get the hooks in it. So I'm actually looking for no stretch in that situation. A buzz bait, I would definitely tie this directly to a buzz bait. And those would be some situations where I would use, where I would tie the braid directly to the lure. Okay, I would not hesitate to use 20-pound braid on flipping and punching grass. You know, that might be a little light in some situations, but I think it would be just fine to use this. The thing I would like about the 20-pound test braid is the diameter. It would certainly slide through heavy grass a lot easier, and it would give the bait maybe a more realistic looking fall. So there's a lot of situations where I would use the 20-pound braid tied directly to my baits. All right, and next we have the 50-pound braid. This is 0.34 millimeter diameter. Really heavy stuff. This is heavy stuff. You're fishing around heavy rock, really super heavy cover. I tell you where I probably would use this directly to the bait would be on my frog applications. When you're fishing a frog in that really heavy soup, and you want to get a good strong hook set, and you don't want there to be any stretch, that's probably a good application for this. You know, I throw those, I like to throw that rat. You've seen me throw that trophy bass baits rat before. I think I would probably go directly to the bait with this braid, just because those fish that bite that are usually super big, and I want to make sure I have full control to turn their head right away. So that's how I would use this as an application. A lot of saltwater applications for this heavier braid. We like to fish spotted bay bass here in this part of the country, and they're always around docks and heavy rock and stuff like that. So I appreciate Soft Steel sending this to us. We're going to definitely put it to work this year, and we'll definitely talk about the various lines that we're using in the applications and the content that we provide, you know, in the coming months. All right, that's our unboxing for today. If you have any questions, post them down below, and we'll respond to them. We'll talk to you again very soon.